Hello Redditors, welcome back to Tales Against Humanity. Now, let's get started. In today's episode,
a long drive to scan a barcode. I used to be a computer field tech. I covered a big region in the US Southwest and had one significant customer in my hometown and several more elsewhere. I had one tiny customer 4 hours away, but I didn't visit them regularly until a support office employee trained them. I'd heard of training lady TL, but didn't know much about her. I built up handheld laser scanners for this customer. They had to be configured to read different labels because they weren't common. Each scanner came with a quick start card. You scanned a label to put it in program mode, scan the label S. It required to scan, then scanned a save and quit label. Programming a scanner takes 15 seconds, right? When I installed the equipment, I left all the scanners configured and operating. Anyway, my boss pages me. He's panicked when I contact the office. TL has been phoning to complain that nothing works, I didn't finish the setup and so on. My boss was spineless and feared everyone except his own minions. I had heard from other techs that the boss sold his team down the river to pacify critics. I calmly but firmly denied it. I left everything well. This client hadn't called since I installed it. I'd called to see what was up. My supervisor knew it couldn't be true, I was one of the top techs, etc. I call the customer and speak with my contact. She's lovely and asks if I want to speak with TL. Thanks. TL calls, some scanners aren't working. Okay, I say, I'll guide her through it, it won't take long. She's busy, can I do it? Yes I can, but it's a 4-hour journey, so I can't get there till the next day. I trained several clients to program themselves. Number of fast start cards labels, it's user-friendly. She won't do it, it's my. Tomorrow, she'll visit. When I hung up, I was furious. I phoned customer care and spoke with one of my friends. I explain what's happening and ask whether they generally help clients. Friend blows up. TL is nasty, should be fired, and he dislikes her. My friend is a mild-mannered person, so I'm astonished by his reaction. But the TL has a history of causing waves, so I decide to back off. I phone my supervisor to say 2 scanners require reprogramming. Even though it's simple, TL wants me to do it. My boss's request wasn't surprising. Too afraid to confront TL supervisor, he had me travel 8 hours. Next morning, I head to an isolated location. While I reconfigure some scanners, TL is nice and professional. I depart after ensuring they have all they need. 8 hours of driving for 5 minutes work, with my paperwork included. Because of my chicken shit boss and psychopath TL. My boss left a few months later. The whole department was relieved. I subsequently learned that he messed up our invoicing and didn't add hundreds of newly installed devices to our maintenance contracts, costing the organization a couple $100,000 in lost income. Story 2. First day of job, exposed massive security flaw. So I started a new job yesterday. First things first, get a login. But it's more complicated than asking the person next to me to do it. You see, I now work for a large group, I am IT support for a subsection. This means that I have to call up the group IT to get my login. So from my personal phone I do so. Only needing to confirm my name and boss to have them find my account and inform me that the details have been emailed to my boss. An hour later, my new boss hasn't received my info and has decided they might have not told the truth, directed me to call them again. Speak to the same person, they give me an ID and password. I log into my new laptop, going through the Outlook and Teams first time log-ins. I notice something odd. Should a day-old account really be downloading so many emails? Why do I have a Teams profile picture? Why is it definitely not me? Shit, show my boss I have been given access to the account of someone with the same name as me that already works there and log off. Yes, I was given full access to someone else's account without needing to answer a single security question. Why calling from my personal, definitely not registered with group phone? I think this isn't good. Boss, understandably, calls group IT and gives them a good bollocking. I sit around all day waiting for this mess to be sorted. Today I have been sent on site, still don't have a login. Fun times. Story 3. Where's my mic? Hello all, Short tale from today, actually in the magical land of AV tech support. The players in this story are as follows. $me, self-explanatory U1, user 1 U2, user 2P, presenter to set the stage. I'm on-site support for a large office building's AV systems. My day-to-day is mostly Tier 1 stuff. However, I'm a former engineer and programmer, so more technical questions and issues end up in my lap. Monday, I receive an email from U1. The email is pretty straightforward. They pretty bluntly state on Thursday, we will need a handheld microphone in X conference room. My response was pretty short and straight to the point. U1, Conference Room X does not support the use of lavalier or handheld wireless microphones for local voice lift. The room can only utilize its currently installed ceiling microphone for conferencing. I receive a generic, OK $me, thanks for the clarification, in response from U1. Fast forward to today, U2 pings me and requests I come to Conference Room X to help get the meeting connected. I arrive and the conversation is as follows. $me, OK, you're connected and all set up. U2, where's the microphone? $me, in the ceiling U2. My colleague emailed asking for a handheld mic to be provided. She said you would be bringing one. $me, no, I pretty clearly stated in my email to her that it wasn't possible to set that up in this room. U2, well, somebody said they would be bringing a microphone. P approaches P, in a very raspy voice, did you bring the mic? $me, no. I was very clear that we wouldn't be providing one for this meeting. The room is not set up for it and can't be on short notice. P, well, I have laryngitis, how is anyone going to hear me? You have to do something about this. $me, I'll be right back, immediately excused myself, went back to my office and closed myself inside. I'm currently debating if I report U1, U2 and P to their supervisor for violation of COVID and sick leave protocol. The ironic part is being a hybrid meeting. The best solution would have been for P to stay home and present, remotely using her headset with built-in mic. Story 4. Are you in a dark room that's on fire? If not, then something actually works. Long-time lurker, first-time poster. A long time ago, like 20 years ago, I worked as a middle manager in a middle-sized company. Since I was the most tech-savvy person and was young and stupid, I became the de facto first, second and third line of support and also the company's IT manager long before I had that title and salary for real. The company had several subsidiaries in other cities. But since all subsidiaries were small, I needed to support them as well remotely. This was a business that ran 24/7, 365 days a year, and any interruption in anything costs a buttload. So any problem needed fixing ASAP. It mostly worked fine since most places were run by young people that knew computers. I also had written detailed instructions with pictures to how everything was supposed to be run, so normally not a big problem. We had two subsidiaries though that were a huge problem, and this is the tail off one of the two. All sites used the same program. The subsidiaries needed to run this program through a RDP, remote desktop window, after they connected to our server through a VPN. Yeah, I hadn't the skills to make it better at that time. In the RDP windows, there was one and only one icon, and that was the program they were supposed to run. As I said, most subsidiaries had no problem with this at all, and it worked well enough. Subsidiary 1, when we acquired this subsidiary, I knew that this would be a problem. Most other subsidiaries had employees that were interested in computers. But this was a subsidiary where the manager, an older lady, had hired her own daughter and her daughter's party girlfriends as the only employees. I will be clear here. This is not a gender issue. Many of the most knowledgeable persons in other subsidiaries were in fact female. But these girls at this particular subsidiary knew nothing about computers and were not interested in learning at all. They even took pride in not learning any of the geek stuff. When we brought them on as a subsidiary, I saw this upcoming problem and informed my boss about it. He didn't believe me, since we at this time never had any problems with technical issues from a subsidiary. The launch went better than expected, mostly because I lived in the city for a couple of days, worked side by side with the users, showing them exactly how it was done. After that, I relaxed and thought that they knew enough to run the program. This is just a couple of the things they managed to do in their first 6 months. Called me every time they had a power outage. And since they worked right outside a huge construction site where they repeatedly dubbed through the cables, it happened at least once every month. They could never understand that it wasn't the computer's fault, since the computer and screen worked when the rest of the building became dark due to a UPS, and that I couldn't help them after the UPS died. Managed to kick the power cord out of the computer 5 in the morning, calling and waking me, and then insisting that all cords were connected. So I needed to travel to this city, a 4 hours round trip, go to that office, see the cord and connect it. They explained to me that the cord was connected to the wall, since I specifically had asked about it through the phone, and that no one had explained to them that the other end actually needed to be in the computer. Managed to turn off their monitor and not understand how it turned on. They called me in panic and tears during the evening, and it took around 30 minutes before I could calm the user down enough to actually dare touch any of the buttons on the monitor, because she was afraid that she had broken the computer and touching buttons would make it worse. After those 3, I put up an extra workstation, up and running, ready to take over if anything happened. The weeks after that, 3 of the girls called me crying during weird times, just telling me that nothing works. I tried to get the person to tell me what didn't work, but the person couldn't explain and just repeated that nothing works. All 3 times I needed to go to the office, 4 hours, yay, and see. Once it was the cord to the mouse that had slipped out. Once it was a Windows update that went wrong and the computer had got stuck. Needed a hard reset. Couldn't really fault her for that one. And the last time she had clicked outside the RDP window somehow and didn't understand how to get back. The extra workstation. They always claimed it didn't work. When I got to their office, it always worked. And I showed them again and again that it's just to log in and start. But since they never used it, they got scared of it. After these times, I put up 2 signs. One with detailed baby instructions with pictures on how to log into the extra computer, the exact same way as the computer they already worked daily on. And an extra sign with the text, "Are you in a dark room that's on fire? If not, then something actually works." Before calling me, please think about what actually is not working so you can describe the problem. They never got better. I did get better though and actually quit. My best decision ever. The other subsidiary? Maybe I will post that another day. But that problem is a combination of my fault and users with no experience.